Accountability and transparency. We will be talking about accountability and transparency and nothing. So, what is accountability? It is clear who is responsible for making decisions, taking actions. It is clear as to who is responsible for what and to whom. There are clear processes for making sure that these responsibilities are taken with utmost seriously. Now, what are we looking at? We are talking about responsibility as an individual event and not to be shared or probably even duplicated. You just cannot shift them. Making sure that each individual is supported to act responsibly. At the end of the day, the buck stops at your doorstep, at your footprint. You need to own up for all the actions that you have generated and justify it. Accountability is personal, responsibility is dedicated to one person. Definitely, yes. Whereas accountability is also clear, obvious lines of responsibility exist. This is what we need to understand every now and then. Accountability being personal and very clear. Example, party organizer, who is looking at the venue parties, who is looking at the disc jockey, the band, the cake maker. There are clear responsibilities, clear roles, clear lines of authority per se. Principles of accountability, responsibilities and authority is predetermined and clear. Guidance and support will be provided. The way that the responsibility and authority is exercised, performance is monitored and assessed. Action needs to be taken on a positive side, on a negative side, whatever your behavior is all about it. And you need to tell me what you have done, is it accountable? Your organization wants to hold a public meeting. The chairperson tells a group of you to organize it, even though the president does not know anything about it. You and other few others organize the meeting but aren't given any financial support for the sound equipment you will be needing. The sound is the audio equipment. So you will be have to raise the money by yourself. You each raise some money, but some of it goes missing. You just cannot be able to trace it who bought in what amount. Also, two different invitations go out to the same people, and the end of the meeting happens, and the president takes all the credit about it for being it organized. Do you think who should be accountable? So this is a clear-cut scenarios of a cases which happens on a daily life, on a daily basis. You do the work, somebody else takes the credit. So accountability and communities, organizations that claims to represent communities have to show that they are accountable. This means this community should be able to easily know who is responsible for what, clearly see what the authority within the organization lies, have information about how, by whom, where they will be represented, understand how they can raise concern and grievances, be assured that there is a fair system in place for their concerns to be addressed, know how they participate and be welcome to participate altogether. Now let me give you another things. Is it accountable? Your organizations represent a particular community, represents. But some people in the community have found out of some things you are saying in the meetings with the government and they disagree with it. So you are representative of certain people, but the people do not have the complete faith in you because of your different deliberations at different places. They write a letter raising their concern. The letter is passed around each office holder in your organization. No one wants to respond to the letter, and an argument takes place about whose job is it to respond. No response is given. In future, the people who wrote the letters are excluded from all your organization activities because they are seen to be troublemakers. Isn't it a very familiar scenario that comes around it? Something called a minor incident would be a whistleblower. So, two sides of an organizational accountability, the internal and the external. So, accountabilities to one another is internal. Roles, responsibilities are clearly defined. Support is provided. Everybody knows what they are supposed to do. There's a clear system how good, how bad the performance is to be rewarded or reprimanded or addressed. The internal things, accountability to others, community members, and other stakeholders perceive the organization with confidence because of the internal accountability. Internal concerns can be raised and clearly addressed. It is easy to find out about the organization process of doing this, and that is what we are trying to go around it. Accountability mechanism. The first, who is accountable. Secondly, for what they are accountable. Thirdly, how and by what means they are accountable. This is called an accountability mechanism. This can be a code of conduct, annual review, performance assessment, written rules, system, policies, process, organizational structure, you name it and we have it. They can be as big or as small as the organization requires. Now, why accountability is important? Think about it. Brainstorm it. Civil society organizations are often criticized for being inefficient, wasteful, delaying tactics, probably uh, exploiting resources, or should I say, occupying resources for which they are not required at all. So they are unprofessional. They are lacking reliable system, not representative, not even legitimate. Being accountable disprove this perception. Now, this is what we need to understand. So, what is transparency? It relates to anything about honesty, about openness, aims to provide corruption and perception of corrupt behavior, refers to the information, decision making, and uses of the resources thereby. Transparency is being clear about what your purpose is, aims, activities, and structures. Being open about who or what your loyalties are to. Is it the political party? Is it the churches? Is it the donors? Is it the organization that you're employed in? There is a declaring conflict of interest. Transparency is making information publicly available routinely, not only when it is requested. Transparency is being consultative rather than being dictated or instructed. Transparency has been committed to accuracy and integrity. For example, printing and distributing an annual report at each quarter if possible, making your accounts easily accessible and available, having a strategic plan, periodic assessment progress against the plan, providing updates to the community and the stakeholders. Literally, something is transparent when we can see through it, when we can understand why a process has taken place, for what reason that is all about it. Corruption, on the other hand, is abusing your position for power, for private gain. Corruption is misusing resources, including financial resources. Corruption is hiding the way the decision has been made, not been clear, not been transparent, not been open. There is a conflict of interest when you use a specific opportunity to achieve something that is not to be intended to achieve. This conflict of interest, don't you think so? You have politically vested parties that you're passionate about, and then you're passionate also about certain association or donors or companies that you think will be great in futures. So there is a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest can involve deception. Conflict of interest can involve dishonesty. Conflict of interest can involve having multiple relationships, multiple loyalties. Conflict of interest can also have professional activities for personal gain. So is it transparent? Every 6 months, a regional workshop has been held in a city that everybody loves to go. A member of the organization attends this workshop. No one knows what when the workshops are coming because the invitation and correspondence goes directly to that person. There's never a report back to the organization either. The person gets a hefty per diem and stays in a nice hotel. They have some good friends and a lover in this city. Normally, when they attend the workshop, they stay for the first day and go shopping and sightseeing the rest of the time. This is what, is it transparent? Is it good enough? Is it equitable? Is it democratic? Probably no. Allow me to quote another one. Is it transparent? You are a part of a community that is run out of your president home. You have recently gotten some money from a donor for a project which, although small, will be going for at least 2 years. A large amount of money will pay for the rent of the office space. This ends up being at the president's home. Other project resources also pay for the computer, electricity bill, and other desks, all at President's home. This arrangement were never discussed with anyone in the organization, and no one is permitted to see the project proposal or funding agreement. But it is a normal for the president to make a key decisions for about the organization work, so no one sees anything about it. Do you think it is transparent? Again, so transparency is important. It shows our community members, stakeholders, partners, donors that we are behaving ethically. Transparency is important because it instills confidence in us. It sets standards for others in our organization and for other organizations. Remember that with transparency, perception is as important as reality. It means that behaving ethically isn't enough. We need to clearly show that we are behaving ethically. To conclude, simply put, accountability is about clear roles. Accountability is about clear responsibilities and systems to support this. We are behaving responsibly. The two go together. A good organization will have a clear roles and responsibility as well as a widely available information about itself. With this, I come to the final conclusion. Because our organization often call for greater accountability, greater transparency from government, health system, police, donors, it is important that we lead by example. We are consistent and express our values in our organization work credibly. It is important that we claim to be representative of community. We can make this claim without our community supporting us. Being accountable and transparency gives credibility to our communities. Thank you for watching this video till the very end.